In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what are the 5 biggest principles that you need to consider when it comes to staying lean in 2025, okay? Now, I have stayed lean now for probably ever since I can remember. So when it comes to understanding what it requires, I feel like I have got very good knowledge on that topic as well. And not only that, we've built out our entire program at FitLab to work with guys over the age of 30 to also understand exactly what it takes to not just get lean and get in shape and build that cover model physique, but also manage to stay there for the rest of their life and never have to do another diet again. So honestly, guys, this is what works. If you actually start to follow these principles, you will start to see actually just how simple it is to be able to maintain really good level of body fat all year round and feel absolutely incredible. So let's get into it. So number 1, guys, is going to be this. Number 1 is going to be focusing on habits and not hacks. Now, what do I mean by this? Most guys are terribly bad at being all or nothing. They're either on it or they're off it. And it always comes down to the fact that they're not focusing on longer term habits. They're just simply focusing on these short term hacks like keto, like Mounjaro, like intermittent fasting, all these kind of little hacks that we keep seeing in the modern world that pop up. Guys think that that is the key when it comes to getting lean, when it's absolutely not. It is about building habits. Now, possibly you find one of these hacks and it allows you to lose your 10, 20 pounds and start to see a difference, but it is not maintainable. This video is about principles to help you stay lean, not get lean, but stay lean. There is a difference, okay? You might be able to get lean from finding some kind of fad or kind of hack that you've seen in the magazine, you've got enough time and you follow it, but it's not going to help you, because the longer term solution here, guys, comes down to habits. Because when you start building habits, it just becomes simple because you start doing things on autopilot. You don't start, needing motivation to be able to go to the gym or eat the right food, because your habits and your mindset and your identity has been built. So you need to come away from looking at hacks, fads, things you read in magazines, all these kind of new things that come out and pop up on Instagram, and you think, oh, that looks good. The weight toning belts. I remember the era when they came into place, where people started wearing these ab belts that thought they were going to get a 6-pack off and all this kind of shit. I mean, at the moment, it's all about, Mounjaro and these freaking injections that people are taking to try and speed up fat loss, just to just stunt their appetite. Again, these are just hacks, guys. These are not going to lead to long-term body composition or improvement where you can maintain it. So that is my first principle for you guys. Start focusing on longer-term habits. And those habits are going to come down to very simple things like, moving more, being more active, eating protein with every single meal, getting 8 hours of sleep every night, strength training 3-4 days per week. These are long-term habits that when you get them in place, they're not hacks. They're just part of you, part of training. I don't think now about, am I going to go to the gym today? I think, when am I going to train today? When is it I'm going to fit this around my schedule, which tends to be pretty much the same time each day. But if there's any kind of, discrepancy, it's not a question of am I going, it's when I'm going. And it's changing your mindset to be more about longer term habits rather than focusing on these hacks, which ultimately do not serve you. Number 2, guys, I kind of gave this one away a little bit, but it is super important that you actually focus on this, because again, most people don't realize the importance of protein. And number 2, when it comes to staying lean and staying in shape, a big principle that you need to consider is keeping protein high at all the times. Like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to cut, it doesn't matter if you're trying to bulk, it doesn't matter if you're trying to run a freaking Hyrox or a marathon, you still need to keep protein high all the time. And there's so many reasons for that. Telling clients of how important it is to get protein, constantly going through food logs. You need to eat more protein, you need to eat more protein. It needs to become a habit on autopilot that you just know that you're going to eat protein and you have a protein, something in that meal, some sort of protein source. Has to become so engraved in your head that you know that that's going to be the most important thing, because protein ultimately is going to be responsible for, of course, you building muscle. It's going to be responsible for you staying full so you don't end up binging and eating loads of crap food. It helps you in so many different ways, and you have to understand that if you are lacking protein in your diet right now, then you're always going to struggle. You're always going to struggle to maintain a lean composition, and you're probably going to struggle to not binge and eat calories and overconsume on your calories, which essentially is going to take you further away from your goal. So that's why it's so important to make sure that at the absolute forefront, we are consuming enough protein and we're keeping that super high. Number 3, guys, which again is absolutely key. And when you build this as a habit, honestly, life just becomes so much easier, okay? And that is to move daily, okay? And when I say move daily, be active. Stop literally just sitting at a computer all day and making excuses that you can't go and get your steps in. Look, maybe you are super busy and maybe it is more of a challenge, but you have to try and build out your day, your strategy, so that you stay more active. If you can't walk at least 8,000 steps every single day, I think you're gonna find it a massive uphill battle to stay lean. Genuinely, right? I just think that you're always gonna struggle because it's just that you're not moving enough, which essentially just means that, you can eat the same amount of calories as someone else, but if you're not moving as much as they are, then essentially, you're not gonna keep the fat off and potentially they are, even if you have the exact same amount of muscle mass. Okay, so of course, I'm gonna get onto this in a second with another really important one to build your metabolism. But essentially, if you want to make sure that you can make it so much easier for yourself to stay lean all year round, you need to make sure you're moving enough. I probably get around 10,000 steps in per day. Some days I'm a little bit less, but on average, I probably aim for about 10,000. And I'm pretty sedentary with my job. Obviously, I'm an online coach for sure, but my job is literally sat at a laptop on Zoom calls or, sat there building something. And I'm not sat there, I'm not an in-person personal trainer. I'm not walking around the gym. When I was an in-person PT, I was probably clocking 20,000 steps a day easily. Right? So my step count has drastically come down since I'm doing what I do now. So I just have to consciously be a bit more active. Go into the gym, obviously get some steps in. I go for a walk in the morning. I'm obviously into my running. So I managed to get my average step count higher, but you're just fighting an uphill battle if your step count is just drastically low. And if you're like 5,000-6,000 steps per day and you want to get a lean, you want to get a six pack and you want to sustain it, it's going to be tough because you're going to be eating very low amounts of food. And who doesn't want to eat more food, right? It just becomes something that becomes a lot more of a challenge. So move more, build habits. It goes back to the first one. Build habits on moving more. What feels hard to start off with will become a new default. You might find at the start, getting steps up to 10,000 or even 8,000, you're like, Jesus, this is hard. Guys, this is what habits is all about. In 30 days time and 60 days time, that will not be hard anymore because it becomes your new default. Your new standard starts to set of, oh, actually, I am a guy that gets 10,000 steps in per day. You don't even think about it anymore. You just actively move around more. Like your body you just move because you are now that person that does that. So even if it feels a little bit tricky at the start, you will find that you can move more. Goes back to the protein. You will naturally eat protein every meal. Like whenever I eat out now or whenever I sit down and eat, I will not eat a meal that doesn't have protein in it. It's just like, it doesn't even go through my head. First thing I look at on the menu is like, right, what is the protein source? And then I'll build around the rest of my food. That's not obsessive. That's just the way that my mind works. It's smart. Protein is the most important macronutrient, not just for your body, but for your health as well. So we need to be making sure that we're getting that in, right? All of our cells regenerate from protein, our hair, our nails. It's key. So you have to make sure your mindset starts thinking about that more. Principle number 4, guys, which again is, super important, right? And most people, you need to start thinking about this. And it's going to come down to this, balancing your socials, right? If you want to stay lean all year round and you are a social person, you like to go out, you like to have alcohol, you like to drink, you need to understand balance and how we can go about making sure that that does not compromise your goal of wanting to stay in shape. Okay, really, really, really simple. Now, I would call myself a social person. I wouldn't say I'm like a super social person. Like I'm not going out all the time and stuff. I'm not, literally every night, things like that. But I like to go out. I like to have a drink every now and then. I like to eat out most weeks, like 2 or 3 times per week. But I balance my social events and I know how to do that now for me to still be able to stay lean. And that just comes down to you actually making the right choices and starting to understand pretty much like what it is that you need to start doing when you go out, or what is the choice that you're going to make that night that is still going to allow you to stay in shape. If you see yourself as a lean individual, a high performer, then you take that attitude with you wherever you go, and you're not influenced by other people, okay? You're not influenced by the people that are around you. You will make your own choices and you'll balance your socials with that. You can have an incredible social life and stay in shape. I promise you now, you can drink alcohol, you can have huge high calorie days every now and then, you can go and eat lots of food. Obviously, if you've done the work properly to get there, you can have like a huge kind of, enjoyment of social. You don't need to literally sit there eating chicken and rice all the time. But it just comes down to a bit of structure, a bit of strategy, a bit of understanding of really how we're going to go about it. And a lot of this is just down to your mindset as well. And like I say, not being influenced by the people during this. But anyone who is lean, anyone who is in shape, they will have a really good understanding of how they can balance their socials. They will not just go into a weekend completely blasé with no strategy, no structure, and just kind of eat whatever they want, drink whatever they want, wake up on Monday and, just fall into this horrific cycle. So you need to start understanding how you can go about true balance with your socials. Now, what I will tell you is that once you get there and actually get to the shape that you want to be in, that's when the true balance comes in. Please do not expect at the start, when you are working towards your initial body goal, you're dropping body fat, you're in a calorie deficit, do not expect there to be loads of balance. And if you want there to be loads of balance, you're going to work at a much slower pace of fat loss. Okay, the true balance really comes in afterwards. Once you've got lean, you build your metabolism up, that's when you can start to really enjoy your life a lot more and have a lot more balance in certain areas. But initially, the hard work has to go in. But once you are lean, this is where you start to build out a bit of a strategy around, you know, am I gonna have more calories at the weekend? Is that just the way I'm gonna go about it? Am I gonna have a rule on alcohol or how much I drink, when I wanna drink? And just start being like real strong-minded as well without having the influence of other people. So it's really important that you start understanding how to do this. And number 5, guys, this is honestly, for me, I truly believe one of the most important ones, and I'm gonna kind of bring this down a little bit to make it easier to digest, okay? And it's gonna come down to this: never stop weights, never stop lifting weights. And the reason why this is so important is because weights is what builds muscle or keeps muscle, right? In my instance, I'm not really trying to build muscle anymore, but I'm trying to keep muscle. I've got a good, healthy amount of muscle mass and I wanna maintain it. And this is how I'm gonna do it. Why is that so important? Not just so that you look jacked on the beach, right? Obviously that's great because we wanna build a lean physique year round, but it's not the reason why it's so important. The reason why it's so important is that weights is what builds your metabolism. Having more muscle means that your body is burning more calories at rest. So even if your steps are a little bit lower, right, and you're not maybe as high on the step target, if you've got more muscle, you can get away with more because you are burning more calories doing absolutely nothing, because your overall calorie burn across the day, your basal metabolic rate is going to be so much higher than the average person because you have more muscle mass, and more muscle mass burns more calories, okay? This is why you see like the bigger guys that are eating loads of food and stuff. You see like, you know, the guys that are doing these challenges, your Eddie Hall's probably sat there eating 5,000 calories per day. I know that Ross Edgley, when he was doing some of his endurance events, but just in general, he was eating freaking loads of food. But the guy's a beast. He's an animal. He's massive. He's got loads of muscle, and you don't need that much muscle. But what I'm trying to say is more muscle means more calories, and it means that you don't have to do much, and your metabolism is going to be much higher. The reason why I've been able to stay in shape and have a good social life and enjoy myself and always stay lean, like always I've kept it around, I think around 10%, 12%, maybe even less than that, 8, 9%. And I've managed to do this because I have a lot of muscle. So my metabolism is high. It's higher than most people, which means that I could eat the same amount of food as someone else that's maybe of my weight. But if I've got more muscle mass, I burn more calories, and it means that I can enjoy my life a lot more. So honestly, guys, like these are the 5 most important things. I swear to this now. You make sure that you stay on top of habits, you build habits, you focus on the long term, you focus on your mindset rather than hacks. You keep protein high all the time, around 1 gram per pound of your body weight. You make sure you move and you're at around 10,000 steps a day. 8 some days is fine, but ideally if we can try and push to that 10 mark on a consistent basis, you understand how to really balance socials and actually take control and not fall off at the weekends. Super important. And lastly, guys, if we make sure we constantly stay on top of our strength training, we build muscle, we lift weights, you have a very healthy metabolism, especially after you get over the age of 30. You have healthy metabolism, you're not losing muscle year on year like most guys are. You actually make sure that you understand how to maintain it. You will never struggle to stay in great shape all year round. Be healthy, be confident, feel great, look great, and genuinely have a physique you're super proud of. So make sure you follow these 5 things. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe for future videos. And as always, guys, I'm going to catch you in the next one.